go to details.js, and we want to make it so whenever you click this nice button here that it pops up open a modal. So what we're going to do here is we're going to import navigate from @reach/router, and we're going to import our modal as well. Modal from /modal. Sorry, @reach, not React, @reach/router. Okay, we're going to add a new piece of state here, and it's going to be called show modal, and we're not going to initially show it. Okay, we need one more piece of state from animal now. We need its URL, so we're going to say URL and grab that off of animal.url. This is actually the URL that you will go to adopt the pet. Okay, above the render here, we're going to put a new method called toggle modal. And we'll just make this a very quick this.setState of show modal, and you just want it to be the opposite of whatever show modal was. So this.state.show modal, right? So if it's false, make it true, and if it's true, make it false. And then underneath that, we're going to make an adopt function as well, which is going to be an arrow function. And all it's going to do is navigate to this.state.url. We could have done this with a redirect component as well. Wanted to show you both. I don't think there's really an advantage. The React router and the reach router people encourage you to use the redirect component. That's what they say they prefer. But I think it's a perfectly good decision to decide either way. Okay, down here, here, inside of media, we're going to put show modal as well, because we're going to grab that out. So just add 41 there. And then below the description, we're going to put this. So put your curly braces here, and then we're going to do a ternary. So if I should show modal, then display this, modal. And inside of that, we're going to put our own markup of like H1, would you like to adopt name? And put a div and class name equal buttons. And then here we're going to say button on click equals this.adopt. And you say yes. And then you're going to say, no, I'm a monster. And you'll just toggle the modal. My goal is to shame someone into buying a pet. Just kidding. Only buy a pet if you are ready for one. But please adopt all the pets. Okay? And then afterwards, after this parenthesis right here, put colon null, right? So if you tell React to render null, as you may guess, it renders nothing, right? So if you're showing the modal, then show the modal. If not show modal, then show nothing. Why don't you like that? I don't understand. Fine, I am a monster. I don't know why that's doing that. So, and then we have to put it so that when you click on adopt here on this button. So on click here, you're going to say this dot toggle modal, right? So whenever someone clicks on the adopt button, it shows the modal. So line 53 here is what I added. So let's go take a look at what that looks like now. So we got the goodest boy here, Fat Boy Slim. If I click on adopt Fat Boy Slim, would you like to adopt Fat Boy Slim? And you say yes, or no, I'm a monster. So if you click yes, it'll navigate you to Fat Boy Slim's page. But if you click on no, I'm a monster, it closes the modal. Pretty cool, right? So just to reemphasize what I think is cool about this modal is now 100% flexible, right? Anytime that I need to show a modal, I just pull this in and it just works. And like, just to prove my point to you, if I inspect element here, notice that I have modal and root, right? And these are two totally different places, but this is all happening in here outside of root, which is really cool. But because this is all in React, like I'm using functions from this component, I'm using the name which is coming out of this component, so I'm using all this stuff inside of it, but it's rendering somewhere else. It's actually really cool because if you're doing event listeners, right, so let's say I have an event listener here on div, which is above the modal, right, and I'd say like on click, and all it does is console.log it. Now it should still work where, let's make sure I'm not crazy here. So notice, okay, so the click listener is working, right? Anywhere I click on the div, it's going to show these events, right? But if I click into this, let me just trash this so you can see. I'm clicking on DOM elements outside of this div, but it's still getting dispatched correctly, right? So the event delegation actually will still go through the same React tree, right? Because React has its own event system. It looks exactly, and it acts exactly the same, but it has nice features like this where I can actually handle event delegation outside of that DOM. Like, that's really cool too. I don't know why this would be useful, I'm just fascinated by it. Great, any questions about portals? So this is useful for things like modals, but it also could be useful for like, maybe you have, again, like a contextual navigation or something like that, right? You could handle that with a portal. You could handle a special header or a special footer or lots of things like that. At Netflix, we used portals to render into the player because the player was a separate thing. So there's a bunch of cool stuff you could do with them. And this used to be impossible, right? It used to be impossible to handle these kind of things. We actually had to build this like crazy special renderer that Netflix only used for a long time to handle that.